Well, the Kansas City Chiefs have done it, defending their title and winning back-to-back league championships for the first time since the 2004-2005 New England Patriots nearly 20 years ago. And in a move surprising absolutely nobody, the pathetic crop of yellow journalist frauds populating the fake news sports media today have been drooling on each other to hit live air and see how many clicks they can amass by lying to their ignorant horde of know-nothing teenagers waiting to anoint Patrick Mahomes as the GOAT already.
He is saying Patrick Mahomes, our historian, is the greatest of all time.
And this is sounding a little too familiar, but predictable, inevitable even. Amid this petulant, loser society we currently find ourselves in, where everyone wants to be given everything and earn nothing, that soft ideology has permeated every corner of society, even the sports world. And throughout the history of sports, the age-old debate of who is the greatest player of all time has been percolating around the various hot stove media machines for years. In the past, mind you, these players have had to earn that moniker, the GOAT. Today, they are just given it, despite absolutely nothing to back up or warrant these claims. Oh, how quickly they forget. So here is a reminder. Tom Brady is still the GOAT until further notice, and it isn't close. Now, by acknowledging that simple fact, it doesn't mean that you're disrespecting or hating on the great Patrick Mahomes, because he is and undeniably has been all-time great. And to say he is already in the pantheon of the greatest players of all time, or on the path to possibly one day becoming the GOAT, is an absolutely fair commentary to make, as he did just win his third Super Bowl by the age of 28 in his 7th season in the NFL and only his 6th year as a starter. And even more preposterously, he has appeared in 6 AFC Championship games, literally every year since he became a starter. But amid the premature anointing of Mahomes, many have just outright forgotten or ignored how damn good Brady was to start his career, as Brady won 3 Super Bowls and in only his 4th season as a starter.
What?
Yes, Brady won back-to-back Super Bowls in his 3rd and 4th seasons as a starter to win his 3rd title by just the age of 27, a year younger than Mahomes is now. But many will dismiss Brady's early accomplishments and point to the fact that Mahomes has been incomparably more prolific from an individual statistical standpoint than Tom Brady, particularly in his early career. However, the league has changed exponentially from just the time since Tom Brady started playing in the NFL as compared to today, with rules changes and litigation from the very top of the league offices, reshaping the way the game is played today, and inherently, substantially diminishing defense in this modern era so that stats can be as inflated as possible. A mounting pandemic across all major professional sports these days. But way back in the 2002 NFL season, Tom Brady was leading the NFL in touchdown passes in his 3rd season as a starter with 28. 28 touchdowns led the league back then. For some perspective, last season Jared Goff threw 29 touchdowns and was 6th league-wide, with 4 players throwing over 30 and Mahomes leading the league with 41. A year that saw Mahomes have possibly the best of his career, as he was named All-Pro First Team, League MVP, won the Super Bowl, and Super Bowl MVP in his 5th season as a starter, aged 27. He posted a career high in yards with 5,250 to go along with 41 touchdowns, second most of any season in his career, and 12 interceptions on 67% completions. But just the year before, in 2021, Tom Brady, at 44 years old, threw the most yards of his entire career and the second most touchdowns, dropping a line of 5,316 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions on 67.5% completions. At 44. So Brady passed for more yards, more touchdowns, and the same amount of interceptions on a higher completion percentage at 44 than prime Mahomes in what was arguably his greatest season ever. It begs the question of if mid-40s Tom Brady was outproducing prime Patrick Mahomes in this era under these rule parameters incentivized for offensive production. What kind of numbers could Brady have amassed if his entire career was played under these defensive rules for a career that spanned to age 45? In his 20s, Tom Brady won 3 Super Bowls, passing for 21,564 yards and 147 touchdowns. Contrast that to the 6 seasons he played in his 40s, where he won 2 Super Bowls, threw for 27,632 yards and 193 touchdowns. Is it feasible to suggest that Brady got that much better from his mid and late 20s to his mid 40s? Of course not. The league has gotten that much easier to amass hollow stats. Also, factoring in not only Mahomes' ability to amass his stats to this point of his career, but also in his ability to win Super Bowls, you would have to take into account the amount of talent surrounding both him as compared to Brady at a comparable point in his career. In his first 6 seasons now as a starter, excluding himself, Patrick Mahomes has played with 20 other All-Pros, while Tom Brady played with only 7 All-Pros in his first 6 seasons as a starter. Brady also had 0 All-Pro pass catchers over that time, while this is the first season. Mahomes didn't have at least 1 All-Pro pass catcher, and in many seasons he had 2. But while Mahomes has undeniably played with substantially better teams and had vastly more talent, Brady did have the GOAT head coach. Right. And because of that, his accomplishments have routinely been degraded through the years, and particularly in head-to-head comps with Mahomes, since of course Patrick is generally credited with carrying Andy Reid into elite status. This take is particularly amusing since we have seen Belichick coach in now 11 seasons without Tom Brady. In those 11 years, Belichick is 81-98, a win percentage of only 45%, while he has had only 3 winning seasons out of 11, made the playoffs just twice, and has won a grand total of 1 playoff game ever without Tom Brady, and that came in 1994. Also, the season prior to Brady taking over in his first year and winning the Super Bowl, New England was just 5-11. Let's compare this resume to Andy Reid, who coached 19 years without Patrick Mahomes, amassing a 183-120 record, which is good for a 60% win percentage. He coached in 5 conference championship games and a Super Bowl with no Mahomes. He had 15 winning seasons, and in the 3 years prior to Mahomes becoming the starter in Kansas City, the Chiefs were 11-5, 12-4, and 10-6. So just how and why is Mahomes being heralded as the GOAT already? While he has played in a vastly softer and easier era to accrue statistics in throughout his entire career, yet Tom Brady has nearly 10,000 more passing yards currently than second place on the all-time list, and nearly 80 more touchdowns than anyone ever, despite his statistics being greatly depreciated due to era-specific differential for the first half of his career. This is also while Brady had significantly less talent surrounding him, both on offense and in an overall team perspective, while the coaching for the two has been at the very least a draw. saw. One would think Mahomes already had more Super Bowls to be hoisting him to Brady's levels. And while Mahomes has 15 wins in the playoffs, astonishingly, third most all-time already, and trailing Joe Montana for second by only one game. But Brady has 35, more than any other franchise has amassed, aside from only the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And while, yes, Mahomes' 4 Super Bowl appearances thus far are nice, but Brady played in 10, which is more than any other franchise ever aside from the Patriots' 11. While his 7 Super Bowl victories is more than any franchise ever. Mahomes is not even halfway there. And speaking of Mahomes and his extraordinary playoff exploits at this stage of his career, he is now an eye-popping 15-3 in the postseason. But 2 of those 3 losses are to Tom Brady. A home playoff loss at Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, and a head-to-head loss in the Super Bowl. And Brady was in his 40s during these games, while Mahomes was favored in both. Those results do not just get to be wiped away as if they never happened. If and when Mahomes might hypothetically someday in the very distant far out future near some of Brady's gaudy totals and win records, those head-to-heads should inevitably serve as the tiebreaker. And all of that assumes Mahomes does even get in the vicinity of Brady, as Aaron Rodgers won his first Super Bowl at 27. He is now 40 and still searching for just his second appearance in the big game. While Dan Marino burst onto the big stage, making his first Super Bowl appearance in just his second season, but he never returned. In the NFL, where nothing is guaranteed, what we know beyond a doubt is that Tom Brady was a starter for 21 years and won 7 Super Bowls. As impressive and historic as Mahomes' accomplishments have been to this stage, this conversation isn't remotely close, no matter how you want to look at it. But then again, how quickly we forget.